Hello, this is Synthchaser from synthchaser.com, and in a previous video I demonstrated an ARP Pro DGX, which is the same as ARP Pro Soloist, that I restored and showed you the features of it and went through the different presets. And I kind of wanted to show in this one what's involved with repairing and restoring an ARP Pro Soloist or Pro DGX. I have another ARP Pro DGX here that I bought as a used working keyboard, and of course used and working is kind of a gray area when used to describe vintage synthesizers. I mean, yeah, it makes some noise, but it's not quite right. So, I mean, as you can see, the white keys were taken off for shipping, so I have those. They're just not on, but it works. It works, but there's some problems with it. First of all, you can hear the clacking on the keyboard. The key bushings on this are shot, so the key bushings need to be replaced. The other thing that I immediately noticed, I have the touch sensor, touch sensitivity up all the way, and I put pitch bend on, and the touch sensor is completely dead. And the other one that I restored, I replaced the touch sensor, and I'm going to have to do the same here. Some of the voices, they don't sound quite right. Well, first of all, if you can hear it, there was some crackling noise. Hear that? Some of the voices just totally don't sound correct. That's the bass voice, and it sounds nothing like a bass. Also, I mean, as usual, the pots are scratchy. I mean, if I move the brilliance, I mean, the filter, I mean, it almost completely cuts out the sound if I change that. The volume, scratchy. So what I'm going to do to this keyboard, a good starting point for any repair is to recap it. I looked inside already, the capacitors, or the original capacitors. So I sell a kit for the ARP Pro Soloist and Pro DGX and many other synthesizers that replaces all the electrolytic capacitors, which are dried out, the tantalum capacitors, which are prone to shorting in these ARP synthesizers. So I'm going to recap all the boards in this, change all the electrolytic and tantalum capacitors. So I've kind of unloaded my kit here, and I'm going to put those in. As far as the scratchy pots, there are videos on YouTube that you can watch on how to restore these pots. Basically, the faders, you desolder them from the board, open them up, clean them with Q-tips or a Dremel or some other way, and reassemble them. But the bottom line is the sliders, they were cheap to begin with, and they're 40 years old, and they were lousy to begin with, and they're going to be lousy when you restore them. So one thing that also that I came up with that I sell on my website, synthchaser.com, is a drop-in slider replacement kit. This will replace the sliders with new, clean, smooth, precise LED sliders. You can disable the illumination if you don't want the LED lights, and you may be able to fit the old slider caps over those if you're a purist and want the original look. But like with this one, like most keyboards, they've lost the slider cap, so that's no great loss. So I'm going to replace the touch sensor, and then I'm also going to rebuild the keyboard. So I'm going to clean all the key contacts in the bus bar and change these rubber bushings, which are dried out and responsible for this clacking sound that you hear. Then when I'm done with that, I'm going to go through and test everything in the synthesizer. Hopefully these voices will resolve after I do the calibration at the end of recapping and rebuilding everything. If not, if there's still that crackling on certain voices, I'll troubleshoot with the oscilloscope and find out what's to blame and replace those components. So that's an overview of what what's wrong with this keyboard that I know of right now, and my plan of attack for fixing it.